Good afternoon and welcome to Metra AV
Tech Tip Solutions.
I'm glad you knew that because I couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
By the way, just so in case anybody wonders, it's Cake Day.
It is Cake Day. Today is Cake Day.
We have two Cake Days a month on Payday Fridays. Payday Friday and Cake Day for birthdays.
It's Cake Day.
Fat boy gonna eat some cake.
We don't know whose Cake Day it is, but it's Cake Day. So, Brent, today's episode, of course, we are talking about the Velox EHV-HDG2 series of HDMI cables.
And by the way, I'm impressed.
That I memorized it? I did pretty well, right?
It's the HDMI Velox Active Fiber 8K to me.
Yes, and that's basically what it is. So now, of course, everybody, thank you for checking in today's episode. As always, thank you very much so for coming in. Now, this series on Friday is a new thing that we're trying out. Let us know if you like it, if you want us to talk more about it. On Fridays, we talk specifically about our products, and of course, on Wednesdays, it's more of a concept video where we give good ideas, or what we think is good are good ideas, and we have communication.
And what you tell us are good ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And we have that communication back and forth on those days. And so on those days, on Fridays, on Wednesdays, we don't really talk about our products very much.
Which does not make our sales team happy.
No, yeah, our management kind of doesn't like it a whole lot when we do that. Now, unless, of course, our product is specifically fixing a problem on those days, which we do. So
Friday is our follow-up to say, we talked about this on Wednesday, and today, here's what you can buy from us.
Exactly. So we talked that last Wednesday. What did we talk about last
HDMI
Wednesday?
2.1.
Yes, we did. So now, of course, this is our flagship HDMI 2.1. Well, pardon me. Got to be careful about that.
48 gig cable.
This is our flagship 48 gig HDMI cable. And so I guess I did the due diligence and I printed off what this cable does. Shall I go through and explain what it does?
Sure. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Because it's not our really professional day.
Yeah. You're gonna sit down and
I'm gonna sit down and allow you to do your thing.
All right. So I'm gonna read off the script here. So of course this is our 48 gig bandwidth capable bandwidth for uncompressed high.
Can I boo now?
Yeah, hold on, let me back up. 48 gigabit bandwidth for uncompressed ultimate high-speed video performance. Supports up to 8K or 10K whenever it comes.
Depending on the other balances.
A bunch of other stuff.
Yes.
Yep. It's designed at 12 gigabits per channel by 4, because of course we have 4 identical channels in there. It supports ARC, eARC, and Ethernet, supported up to 10 meters. It supports,
okay, let's
should we talk
specific.
about that?
Yeah, before you go further, let's talk about ARC and eARC. And
Yes.
why is it 10 meters?
Because it's still on a copper connection, and it's not an active copper connection, which means there's no chipset in the cable itself.
Specifically for ARC and eARC.
For that, yes. So it is limited to the 10 meters.
However,
on that.
that's standard across the industry.
It is, and you're probably running into that already if you're running longer distances, and hopefully soon we'll have a solution for that. So
now, who would have a solution for that?
We would, hopefully, very soon. Supports dynamic HDR. It's backwards compatible with HDMI 2.0 and before.
So 1.4 and 3 and 2 and 1.
It supports HDCP 2.2 and 2.3 because, of course, it's just a cable. It's 24-karat gold-plated corrosion-resistant contact connectors.
Wow. Okay, say that again.
I can't. 24-karat gold-plated corrosion-resistant contact connectors.
Now.
Yeah.
The gold plating does not particularly help what we're doing, but it does help with the corrosion resistance.
Yes, it does.
And let me tell you why that's important. Because when you look at your gear, dielectric differences between one product and another can encourage corrosion to happen, and that gold plating does help protect that. Or if you live at the beach.
Yes, it does help with the beach setting as well. Not just because you got the bling of the gold at the beach, but also because salt.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we've got multi-layer shielding to prevent electromagnetic interference. CL listed for in-wall installation. So this is not a plenum cable, so you can't put it into plenum applications, but you can run it inside of a wall if you're just going into the riser application. So it just means
residentially.
Up and down. Yep. Let's see. Attachable screw locking connectors included. Now this is actually really interesting. On the back of when we had our AVR episode 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, there was one thing that we were not able to talk about because we ran out of time. But on this cable, what it does have, I'll open this up here, is on the head shell. You can actually.
You want an overhead?
Yeah, please. On the head shell, there's that little not so shiny spot right there, and what it does underneath there, you can actually take this piece and screw it into that, and you can actually secure this into the back of an AVR of some kind,
Matrix.
or Matrix, or any other device that has the locking screw connection. That way it ensures that your connection stays good and tight when you finish up the installation. So it's a great feature for that as well. And of course, it comes with our standard lifetime warranty for our HDMI cables.
And wait, that's not all.
What do we got?
What else is in the package?
The one last thing that I didn't say, it includes the USB cables and USB power supplies.
And?
Oh, what? Oh, the reel?
No, the 6 colors.
Oh, yes, the little, yeah, exactly. So on this piece here, it comes with these little knockouts that you can take on this here, and you can pop those out and replace them with different colors. So
it comes with it.
Yep, it comes with it. Apparently we've lost it out of this box. But it comes with it, and you can actually, that way you can tell, okay, well, the yellow is the yellow cable, the red is the red cable.
If you're setting up a Matrix or dual output AVR, that color coding is very helpful.
Yes, it is. So the last thing that's in the box, of course, is the USB cables and the power supplies for external power. Now, Brent, Wednesday we were going to talk about this, and we ran out of time. Why is that important?
Well, thank you for asking, Adam.
Of course.
Bandwidth is the higher the bandwidth, the more energy is expended creating the data.
Right.
Because what is bandwidth?
It's just more data in a shorter amount of time.
It's ones and zeros.
Yeah.
What's ones and zeros? What's your daily use analogy to a 1 and a 0?
It's a door or it's a light switch.
It's a light switch.
Opening and closing or turning on and off.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you walk up to that light switch and you flick it on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Now you flick it on and, wow, we better change that phrasing. You turn that light switch on and off, and if you do it long enough, your hand's going to get tired.
Right.
Now, I'm going to ask you to double the rate of your flicking.
I'm going to get tired more quickly.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing with HDMI. As bandwidth increases, the processing that has to go on in the head shell also increases quite a bit. So it's pulling a lot more current to do the same job. Now it's also generating more heat and more waste.
Yes.
And the more heat you have, the more current you draw.
Yes.
So consequently, you want to absolutely use, let me rephrase this, absolutely use the included power cables and the included power supplies.
Yes.
At which end?
Both.
Both ends.
Yes.
Because, go for it.
Well, and you don't want, the head shell in here has all the electronics in it on both sides because, of course, it does have to take the electrical signal, convert it into a light signal, and then on the other side, it has to take that light signal, convert it back into an electrical signal, and send it on through. And what we are seeing is that, unfortunately, manufacturers are skimping on power supplies for the HDMI bus, which means that we have to supplement that because we are requiring more power to send that sheer amount of data across these cables now.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Now, television manufacturers assume that you're going to use a passive cable of 6 feet or less, particularly as we move into 8K.
Yes.
Because that's really, in their mind, as far as you can go.
Yep.
So they're not worried about supporting the electronics in an active cable. Correct. So what they will do is create the power supplies bare minimum requirements of HDMI, the 2.1 spec, which is a little more than 2.0, but it still is insufficient to properly support the active electronics in a cable.
Yes.
Now, I am sure you saw the email from one of our salespeople about a week ago. It's like, oh, one of our competitors has a cable that doesn't require power supplies. So, what do we do?
So, without calling out names, of course, unfortunately, depending on the length, they may be right because of what we said before about the 2 meters and whatnot. However, if you're going any kind of distance longer than that,
any kind of active cable,
especially, you really should be supplying supplemental power to that system to ensure that it works correctly.
Now, basically what it amounts to is that manufacturer in a and we have seen this, very specific connectivity, meaning this brand of TV with this brand of AVR and this model will work.
Yeah. Well,
but it doesn't with anything else.
Yeah. There's a disconnect in between there somewhere. So, Brent, let's talk about also where would we use this cable specifically where we wouldn't use other cables?
Any job that you're planning to last more than 2 years.
Yes. At this point in time, we are in the 48 gig world, or 40 at least at this point, where we will be shortly. And if you're needing to go of any kind of distance greater than, well, actually here, let's talk about the lengths. Anywhere between 5 and 100 meters.
Now, honestly,
over that length.
4 is a better one because 5 5-8 copper is obtainable.
Very
but
difficult.
It's right at the bleeding edge. And I would encourage you to not be there, because any change or any incompatibility at all right now is dangerous at 5.
You're going to run into problems. So this cable, of course, is available in 5, 8, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 50, 65, 80, and 100 meters. I did not memorize that. I have it written down.
Now, one of the really nice things about this cable is the power does not go in on the side like it does with all the other cables.
Including one of ours.
It enters from the bottom. Well, it's nice when you don't pull it out. Wow. I'm getting old and blind. I may have to, because obviously I'm too old and blind to do this. So it allows for a much sleeker installation, and you're not having to deal with things coming out the side and attacking other items.
That way, if you have these plugged into the back of a matrix and you have multiple of them together, or next to a different type of HDMI, the power plug isn't running into another HDMI head shell, so you can plug it into the back of it.
Or if you're using it on any type of splitter or other devices where they're very close because of spacing.
Yeah.
And of course,
you don't have one next to you, do you?
No.
There you go.
Here we go. So if we wanted to put a series of those right there and they were active, it would be a problem, because the power cords would be interfering. Whereas with this one, because it's in the back,
it's not going to run into anything else.
It doesn't.
Yep. So with our Velox EHV-HDG2 series cable, like I said, anywhere from 5 meters up to 100 meters are available. Call your rep, call your distributor, and find out pricing and availability. I will say right now they are going like crazy. So if you're needing to spec it in, if you need to spec it into one of your jobs because you need to have a 48 gig connection, or if you want to make sure that you are, as much as I don't like the phrase future-proofing, your job, or trying to make that job last as long as possible, go ahead and call your rep now to find out availability and pricing for it, and potentially have one set aside for you.
Now, what is the other big advantage of fiber?
You tell me, Brent.
Well, in the event that technology does exceed this, and let's be honest, with the growth we've seen in HDMI, it's going to at some point.
What's
even
that,
at 48 gig.
Moore's Law?
Yeah, it's going to go beyond this.
Yeah.
When we started HDMI, it was at 365.
Yes.
Then 10, then 13.65, then 18.
Yep.
Now, realistically, 48 is here, and we're talking 12 years of industry.
Yes.
From the beginning to now is a little over 12 years.
Yep.
So with the fiber cables, one of the nice things is when we exceed the capabilities of the electronics in the fiber, you cut the head shell off, you terminate it with whatever the terminal du jour is for OM3 fiber, and you move on into the future.
Good use of du jour.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, what Brent's saying is correct. If at the time that it comes into play, where either we have gone beyond the capabilities of this cable, which again is going to be a couple of years,
but it is going to happen.
Or God forbid you run this thing backwards, or the drywaller comes in and messes up one of the head shells, or the painter sprays the end of it.
And it
Whatever
does happen
happens,
too.
Unfortunately, it happens. The nice thing is that you are not out of luck. You can actually still go ahead and chop the end of this cable off, and you still have 4 OM3 fiber strands inside of this cable to terminate and use for something else. Now, of course, right now you're limited to 4K if you have to do that, but only because the hardware that actually makes that happen, the equipment that makes it happen,
the 5 to 8K is not out yet.
Is still 4K connection.
But it will exist.
But it will exist eventually. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for joining us as we go over the EHV-HDG2 series of Velox Active Optical Cable HDMI. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Of course, you can reach us at adam.rogers@metraav.com or brent.mccall@metraav.com. And then, of course, you can also call our tech support line at 386-492-8584. It's, of course, down here as well underneath.
And if you have any questions, call us before you get in a bind.
Yeah. If you need to plan out a job, go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to help out with it, and we can talk more about this cable during that time as well. So, Brent?
Adam?
I think that's it for today.
So what do? Reboot early, reboot often?
Yep. Don't cut your wires too short.
Turn off CEC. And call tech support.
Call tech support.
Have a great day, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.